What is going on, guys? I just want to make a quick video before we get into the actual video, and I just want to quickly apologize for the angle of the camera. I know how I want to fix it, and I know how it's going to be fixed. Unfortunately, it's going to be kind of crappy, so I'm not going to be able to get a lot of riding days in, but I still want to put out content. And instead of remaking this video, I just want to upload this one because I think the points that I make are exactly what I want to say. Also, this is going to be kind of a lengthy video. Let me know if it's too long or if these videos are too long. I mean, I personally like watching long videos, but I also have nothing better to do with my life. So, just forgive me for the camera angle in the moto vlog. That's going to be fixed by the time you see my next video. And then let me know if it's too long. Alright, guys, and make sure this guy sees me. What is going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. If this is your first time, I have a little wager for you. So in this video, I want to talk about the 7 things you probably didn't consider when buying a motorcycle. These are things that might just happen that I personally didn't really think of, and I think you might find some of them a little bit interesting. So here's the bet. I'll make a bet with you. If I say 3 things out of 7 that you didn't think of, you have to like the video. 4 things you have to like and subscribe. So 4 out of 7. If I talk about some things that you didn't think about when buying a motorcycle or owning a motorcycle, just things that you might not have considered to be a thing that is actually a thing. So the very first thing I bet you may not have considered is wrist fatigue. So if you're brand new to riding a bike, you might not be too used to the clutch and the front brake. Whenever I took my first MSF course, it's a 3-day event. The first day is book work. The second day is out on the course. The course being, of course, a parking lot, and you do a lot of start and stopping maneuvers. And dude, I tell you what, at the end of the second day, my wrist felt like it was gonna fall off. And it's not a big deal, but if you just start riding, you're going to want to ride all the time, right? You're going to want to ride all the time, and it sucks whenever you actually can't ride because your wrists feel like they're going to fall off. So what I actually did the whole winter, I was watching a bunch of YouTube videos, which is what you're doing, right? You're watching a bunch of videos because you're getting ready to buy your bike. You're not sure what you want to get, so you're kind of hopping along. I bought one of those oh, we're going, that literally just turned. I bought one of those squeezy things. It actually kind of looked like a clutch and brake lever, and I angled it so I would get that motion to kind of strengthen up my my forearms. And I think it helped a lot because whenever I started riding again, whenever I bought my bike, that's a beautiful house, I didn't have any issues as far as wrist fatigue. You know what I mean? So that's the first thing, wrist fatigue. It's a real thing. And if you haven't really ridden before, or you don't really train, like work out or whatever, it might be a thing. It's not like it's going to cripple you, but it might keep you from riding a couple days if you're not used to it. The second thing you might not consider is fatigue from the wind. So depending on when you buy your bike, the best time to buy your bike is like towards the end of winter, beginning of spring. And you have nice days like 60-degree day or whatever, and you know it's 60 right now, and with the wind chill, you know, it's like, I don't know, mid to low 50s, maybe in the 40s or whatever. But whenever I got my bike, I mean, I was riding whenever. I was riding in 30-degree weather, which is fine. You can do it. You know, it's going to be nipply, but it can be done with the right gear, which you already have anyways, because you are an intelligent rider doing your part. So you know, it'll keep you warm, but the cold weather will make you tired. You know, your body is trying to stay warm, you know, so it's using a lot more energy and stuff like that to make that happen. And because of that, because of riding in cold weather, it'll make you feel a little bit cold, or it'll make you tired, you know what I mean? And it's not a big deal, but it's one of those things. If you have a combination, we can have an issue, right? Like if it's cold and your fingers and your hands aren't working properly because they're cold. This is a beautiful turn. And your fingers aren't working properly, and you're cold and you're tired, you know what I mean? You might not be able to work your machine as effectively and safely as you should. Wow, that's really nice. Is that a house? That's a whole damn house. That is nice. So that's the second thing that you might not expect. So we got wrist fatigue and we got fatigue from being in the cold. The third thing you might not have considered to be, again, these aren't like issues. These are just things that, like, oh, that's a thing. I didn't realize that was a thing. Has to do with the wind again. Now this is headwind, right? Wind coming at you. You know, depending on what kind of bike you have, you know, that's gonna play a part on the wind that you feel, right? So I'm riding an Ninja 650, and these things have huge fairings on both sides, so my knees and my legs are tucked in and they're hugging the gas tank, so my legs are totally protected from the wind. And because you're a smart rider, you're going to have riding pants on, and that'll make it a lot easier for you too. But naked bikes like the 650Z or whatever, let's execute this turn. I like to shut up sometimes whenever I'm making turns, because that is the most important thing that we're doing, is riding the bike, not talking. But like a 650Z, you know, that's a naked bike. I'm pretty sure that's considered a naked bike, and you don't have these big fairings, so you really are going to feel the wind a lot more. Do I want to turn? Is it this one or the next one? It's this one. It's West Newton Street. We eliminate that, which is awesome. So you know, be conscious of that too. This is kind of crappy, isn't it? A slanted road. Maybe this is another thing that I haven't even really considered as really poor roads like that. That kind of sucked. But yeah, wind from just riding your bike. You know, if you're fully geared up, you shouldn't have an issue. You really shouldn't, and you should be, you know, full gear all the time, every single time, you know, just for the slide, not the ride, so to speak. And but you know, naked bikes like that, you're definitely going to feel the wind a lot more than you would on a bike like this, you know what I mean? There's even other bikes that would probably be even more extreme, you know, like a Kawasaki, what's that, KTM or whatever, I'm not even sure what they're called, those adventure touring bikes. Did you flash me? I'm not sure. And you know, that wind can, you know, that can have an impact, and it can have an impact on the very next thing, is which is the fourth thing, that's riding in really windy conditions. And I'm not talking about headwind. Of course, you're going to get headwind whenever you're going down the road. That's a given. We know that's going to happen. But I'm talking about, you know, wind that hits your broadside. You know what I mean? Again, you know, this is kind of biased towards, you know, motorcycles like this because this is my experience. And by the way, all this is from the point of view of a new rider. You know what I mean? This is my first motorcycle, so this is from the point of view of a new rider. And this is cool. I think this was it was weird because they built like a pipe thing, you know, to frack, and then they tore it down like a week later. So I don't know what's up with that. But what was I talking about? Oh yeah, just wind. So the Ninja 650 has a lot of fairing, so there's a lot of surface area. The Ninja is also a very light bike. It's like 427 pounds wet or something like that. It's not a heavy bike in the grand scheme of things. So that, coupled with high winds plus large surface area, this thing got blown around, you know what I mean? And it got blown around pretty good. And you know, the bike gets blown around, but what also gets blown around is your head being the center of gravity. When that changes, you know, the center of gravity of the whole bike and everything changes. So that in itself is kind of an issue. You know, the wind's blowing from your left, you're kind of pushing your head to the left to keep it kind of centered, and then it knocks you the other way real quick. It kind of like bop, 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 you know what I mean? So it gets you pretty good sometimes. So, you know, really heavy winds is not an issue, but you know, it is a thing, you know what I mean? And especially if you're a new rider and you buy your bike in the winter or in the beginning of spring, depending on where you live. I live in Pennsylvania, so you know, whenever it's unseasonably warm, there's a reason for that, and that's, you know, cyclonic activity and stuff. So, you know, these warm days, they don't just, you know, you don't just get them for nothing. You get a lot of wind with them. How about the fifth thing is cost? And I'm not talking about cost in the sense of, you know, your gear is going to be expensive. You know the taxes on the bike are going to be expensive. Pennsylvania, for example, Allegheny County, especially where I'm at. I'm going to let this guy go. Allegheny County in general, it's got a 7% tax. So a brand new Ninja, this one cost me, you know, $8,100. After taxes and all that, that's like $2,500. So, you know, that $8,000 bike is now, you know, $10,000, $11,000. But I'm not talking about that. I'm not talking about gear. I'm talking about second gear and your first maintenance if you're buying a brand new bike. So second gear, again, depending on where you live, you know, you might have to buy multiple sets of gear, right? Winter gear, and then summer gear, and then rain gear. It all depends on what kind of rider you're going to be. If you're going to be an avid rider, then yeah, you're going to have all that eventually. I mean, you can suck it up or whatever, but I mean, winters are cold, summers are hot, you know. I didn't ride in the rain yet, so I don't really have an opinion of that, but you know, that's something to be cognizant of. And if you're buying a I'm gonna make this turn real quick. I hope this guy's not turning with me. If you're buying a brand new bike, then you have a break-in period. This bike has a break-in period. I'm actually over my break-in period and shouldn't be riding it as much, but I am because I want to ride, and it's not that big of a deal. But that first service, and I'm not talking about just oil change. I want to get here before the bus gets here. you know, I'm not talking about oil changes and stuff like that, because, you know, you should be able to do that, you know, if you're taking care of your bike, you know, chain and all that. But your first service is really important. Yeah, they do change the oil and the oil filter for you, but they also re-go over everything and torque everything down. This is a brand new machine, and because of that, you know, things can vibrate loose. So it's important to get that taken care of. You know what I mean? So I just got my estimate for that first service, and it's $500, or it's just about $500. And make sure this guy sees me. He didn't see me. Yeah, don't yell at me, I didn't do anything. Thanks for doing your part. Made me completely lose track. Oh yeah, it's like $400-$500 for that first service. So if you spend all that money on the bike, and you spend all that money on the gear, and you're riding the crap out of your bike, now you have another $500 that you have to spend for your first service. But I'm telling you, your first service, don't neglect it, get it done. It is what it is. After that, you won't have to change your oil for another season, you know, depending on how much mileage you put on your bike and all that. I probably will have to change my oil a couple times a season. Considering that it's February, I technically took it out like 5 or 6 times and I already have 600 miles. I'm gonna ride a lot, and that's okay. That's what I bought it for. But just be aware of that. So that's the fifth thing. Sorry about that. The GoPro likes to shut off on me quite frequently. Does that a lot. We are continuing, and we are on the sixth thing that you may not have thought about with motorcycling, and that's going to be the noise in your helmet. Regular driving, riding around like this, it's not bad at all. So it's not like it's like all the time, but on the highway it's loud. I don't know if it's just the helmet that I have or what. I mean, this is a Shoei, I think it's how you pronounce it, and you know, they're $700 helmets, so I mean, I'm assuming that this is a really good helmet. But it's still quite noisy, and it's not something that's unbearable or anything like that. You know, it should definitely not deter you in any way, shape, or form, but it's something to be cognizant about. And you know, you can mitigate that with earplugs or whatever, but yeah, just so if you're like one of those, if you want to like get a bike and you're trying to like go cross country and you're doing a lot of interstates or whatever, I would highly recommend getting some kind of ear protection, because that is just, it's too much. I mean, it's just too much like that, you know what I mean? So, you know, just to be aware of it. I'm gonna go ahead, we're gonna stop and grill and chill, as they say, as Dairy Queen says. I like this guy's hat, it's very orange. I don't really. And the final thing, right, the seventh and final thing you might not have considered, oh, is a tight little turn. I did not do that one very good at all. The final thing that you might not have considered is sun angle. Now, I bring this up because it is kind of a big deal, and I do plan on doing a video that is specifically about, you know, mitigating your risks, because there are a lot of risks involved when riding a motorcycle. And one of the more important things is the sun angle. And I say that because you, as a driver, you know that you've been driving along and you can't see nothing. You know, you're kind of playing, you know, a guessing game whenever you're riding around. That makes it very, very dangerous whenever you're in stop and go traffic, because you're on a motorcycle and you're like this anyway, where a car is like this, and if you can't see, the guy behind you definitely can't see, and it's a lot more dangerous to get rear-ended on a bike than it is in a car. We're gonna execute this turn first. Notice we're turning our head. We have an eyeball on our chin, and yeah, it's something to be completely aware of. You know what I mean? So yeah, there's things that you can do to mitigate that. You know, don't ride in those conditions is the easiest one, but you know, I'm personally very looking forward to summer afternoon riding. You know what I mean? I'm looking very forward to that. So obviously I'm going to be riding in those conditions, but you know, you can do stuff to mitigate that. You know, make sure you're positioned correctly, right? Make sure that you are far enough ahead or far enough in between spaces between you and the car in front of you, and that that you're set up for your escape route, just in case dude behind you decides he's not going to stop. So make sure you're in first, obviously, and you know, just be ready for everything. You have to be so defensive on a bike, and you know, you already know that. You know, I'm not telling you guys anything. That is really freaking cool. Look at that. How rich do you have to be to make your bushes look like that? Look at that. That's fucking crazy. What was I talking about? I got distracted by the bush. I got distracted. We're gonna go ahead. We're gonna execute this turn. We're gonna downshift one. We're gonna position on the outside. We're gonna apex towards the middle. We're gonna continue our lane. We're continuing our looking, and we're going to accelerate a little bit. We're gonna position again. We're gonna apex right here in the middle. Go on the outside, just like that. Not a big deal. Not the best turn, but hey, it's not the worst turn. We have survived a turn. Thank you for being with me as we survive this turn. Look at that big truck. So much fun. Poor little skunk. Poor little raccoon. Office space for rent. For sale. Chicken wings. Everything. But yeah, hey, do me a favor. Like I said in the beginning of this video, if I said 3 things that you actually genuinely did not consider about riding a bike and you're a new rider, give me a like. If I said 4 things that you generally did not think about, consider subscribing. And if you just like the point of view of this bike, you know, because I'll be honest, there's a dude specifically, his name's Matt, I forget his last name, another cool dude. He has a white Ninja 650. The only reason I am following that dude is because he has a white Ninja 650, and I just like how it looks. You know what I mean? I like his content too, but I just like watching videos like that. I watch them all the time. We're gonna go ahead, we're gonna execute. Oh, I love riding a bike, dude. So yeah, you know what I mean? If that's you, if you like kind of content like that, you know, consider subscribing. There's that rich house. Consider subscribing. You know what I mean? I plan on doing a bunch of videos, and it's not to, I'm not motovlogging to motovlog. Motovlogging is kind of like a secondary thing, because you know, I really record for my own personal safety. Like that person back there on the bridge, what if I would have hit them? You know what I mean? It's just an insurance thing, and it just happens to be a byproduct. And you know, I enjoy watching motovlogs, so I'm assuming you also enjoy watching motovlogs. So I'm gonna go ahead, I'm gonna get out, and I hope to see you guys on the next one. All right, peace out.